Good morning. China dominates the global shipbuilding industry, and we did a feature on this issue previously, and the numbers are now in for 2023, full year, and for the first half of 2024. And China is grabbing more and more of the maritime industries across the world. We're going to look at the issue from a different point of view, though, and show how our NGOs, our non-governmental organizations, and our think tanks can make a lot of money off of an industry that we don't even have. First, let's do the numbers. This update is from 16 July, and orders for new ships made in China are up 44% year over year to over 54 million deadweight tons. New orders to Chinese shipyards are 3/4 of all the order volume in the world, which is up 8% year on year. Completed ship orders came in at 25 million deadweight tons, which is over half the global total, and another 59% are work-in-process ships. Of the 18 major classes, China is number one in 14 of them, and profits industry-wide have doubled here. And for large builders, profits are up almost 3 times, 188%. They also had a great year in 2023, and you can read this article here if you're interested in going back further. Here is a comparison of the Chinese shipbuilding industry compared to that of the United States. Here we are on a pie chart with South Korea and Japan, and there is us again, that tiny wafer-sized slice at 0.11% of the world's total. Here we see that Japan's shipbuilding industry is over 100 times the size of the United States. South Korea's is 280 times or so larger than ours. As we go through what happened next, keep in mind, the United States does not have a shipbuilding industry to speak of. It went away decades ago. Here is Nikkei Asia. The US is taking aim at Chinese shipbuilding, an industry we don't even have. This report from Nikkei is from 11 May 2024. In a weird coincidence, I'm sure, this report from the Center for Strategic and International Studies came out only the day before, on 10 May. The CSIS is a very large public policy think tank, an NGO in Washington, D.C. A lot of their funding comes from governments and also from big defense contractors. This is from their website. Annual donations of $250,000 and up. General Atomics, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, those are all defense contractors. 100,000 to 249K. There's Boeing, their defense mainly. Bloomberg, I guess that's where my subscription money winds up. General Dynamics is defense, Raytheon defense. Here in the donor list are also companies from Korea and Japan. Fujitsu, Hanwha's Korean, Hitachi, Mitsubishi, Nikkei NTT, Samsung. And here are government entity donations to the CSIS, $250,000 and up. Could be $250,000, could be a lot more. United States, Japan, Korea, UAE, Taiwan. Going back to their report then, the threat of China's shipbuilding empire. Should we suppose here that the CSIS has a better understanding of shipbuilding than Japan or South Korea? Why does Mitsubishi Corporation or the Japanese government or our own Defense Department need the CSIS to write this report? To ask the question is to answer it. Obviously, it would be self-serving. No working class American who remembers all the shipbuilding jobs heading to Japan is going to care now that Japan is losing some work to the Chinese. And our Defense Department needs someone else to say that China building tugboats or container ships is a grave national security threat. This is why the CSIS exists. They write these reports, they testify before Congress, they share their findings with media outlets, and they get interviewed again. And basically they're spokespeople for the people here on their corporate donors page. And that's how this works. Paragraph 1. China is the biggest shipbuilder, but it's not just ships, it's a broad national security interest. Foreign capital and tech are flowing to China, and that all helps China build their navy. China's success isn't displacing US shipbuilders, those are all gone. It's Japanese and Korean shipbuilders who are suffering the most. We find that in paragraph 3. Readers who check out the headline, the first few sentences, see that China's shipbuilding is taking over the world, and this is a grave national security threat. And later we find out that Japan and South Korea are the ones losing out, going from over half of the world's market to 40% now. And in the next 10 years, the majority of big ships will be China built. So now they hit hard again the national security problem. It's a matter of national security. And in a 3-year period, 64% of merchant ships orders from Chinese shipyards came from foreign buyers, not Chinese buyers, in other words. Lots of these orders came from our close allies in France, Japan, and Sweden. So Japanese companies are buying ships from China instead of Japan. It's right there. Did anyone ask them why? Are these Chinese customers unaware that Japanese companies also build ships? Here is the money pitch. We need to reinvigorate the United States battered shipbuilding industry, a multi-decade process which we can assume is going to be super expensive, and we should assume will involve a lot of the companies on their donors page making a lot of money. Then comes integration with key allies like Japan and Korea, who also happen to be paying more than $250,000 a year to the CSIS for these reports. And this last bit, which is talking without saying anything, reminding potential buyers that the same shipbuilders building cargo ships might also be making boats for the Chinese Navy. Nikkei Asia now, from the next day, 11 May. 5 labor unions sent a petition to Catherine Tai, U.S. Trade Representative, so she announced a 301 probe into China's maritime equipment industry. Under the Trade Act of 1974, we can impose sanctions on countries that violate norms of international commerce. President Joe Biden called on Tai to do the review, which will take 4 years, then thereafter raise a tariff on Chinese steel and aluminum. So this is all being well choreographed and organized. Our labor unions also called for charging port fees to Chinese-built ships that come to U.S. ports, and here we go, the creation of a shipbuilding revitalization fund to help our domestic industry. We don't have a domestic industry. Japan has one and Korea has one, but we don't. So they're asking for lots of taxpayer money to be raised and put into a big revitalization fund, no doubt managed by themselves to produce a lot of reports like these and no ships. We know that this is the real objective because only a small percentage of Chinese-built ships go to the United States anyway. It's all about this shipbuilding revitalization fund. And they know that there is no interest in doing that to protect Japanese or Korean companies. There's no taxpayer money for that unless they can make it somehow a national security issue. If they can do that, the money is going to flow. And they need the CSIS to do that. This is Hangzhou, West Lake, Zhejiang province. Be good.
Give them gifts of wisdom or of prophecy.